I'm about to feed him to the sharks right now. Get him hype right now. Yeah. You know the ground is up. Yeah. Everybody that trains, you know the game. Yeah. So let's get it. Slap it up, bump it, and roll. Hey. Yeah, that's the way that it goes. Ain't no better way to better yourself in this game. You're feeling the growth. That's time on the mat. We put in the work. Believe it ain't easy, I know. But we train for the love of the game, the love of the art. Now slap it up, bump it, let's roll.
Welcome to episode 34 of the BJJ Campaign Podcast. My name is Jeff Boone. I'm an A3 blue belt, 2 stripes.
This is Phil Kors, A2 blue belt, 1 stripe. So before we get started today, gigantic announcement. Jeff, take it away.
We have BJJ Campaign patches. Woohoo! Thanks, Boomer.
Finally. They look really good.
They look awesome. They're smaller than I thought. But
Yeah.
I like them.
I think it's going to fit good either on the...
It's a 4-inch gi patch. Wait, right? 4-inch?
Yeah.
Yeah, 4-inch gi patch.
But it's in the shield kind of shape, diamond shape of the logo. So...
Looks really good. Thank you to Cage Side and Tori BJJ. Boomer over there, all the guys, Brendan, Chop, Matt, everybody. Appreciate it.
So those will be available to purchase on the website today.
We got a smoking hot deal on them too, Philly.
That's right. So it's $10 for a patch or $5 if you buy it with a t-shirt on the website.
We'll just say the combination is $35 a t-shirt and gi patch.
The full Loving the BJJ Campaign podcast package.
Yeah.
As I like to call it.
Yes. Yes. That sounds weird, BJJ Campaign package.
I think it sounds perfect.
And so, Philly, why don't you talk a little bit about what we're going to revisit today?
So, we always talk about how we're going to try to get people to start training, or at least try Jiu-Jitsu. Jeff has had a lot more success than I have, because he's pushy. And
I prefer to call it good salesmanship.
Yeah, pushy. So, girlfriend Molly started this past week and has now gone to 2 classes and will be going to the 3rd tonight. So, that's exciting.
That is exciting. She seems to be into it.
She's giving it a shot. So, I'm curious to see where it goes.
You likened her side control to of a koala bear.
Correct, yeah. It's pretty good.
That's pretty good side control.
Yeah. Better than mine.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to revisit a few things, right? We're going to look at, what you're going to do your first couple classes, what you're going to try to accomplish, what your, maybe even your first time sparring, or even what your first 30 days might look like. For those people who are new on the podcast, or if you're listening to this podcast, you have someone that you want to get into jiu-jitsu, forward this podcast. Because it's going to talk all about that.
Because we pretty much talk about all the benefits, we get out of it all the time.
Sure.
But just kind of, if you're going to start, what's the weird stuff that's going to happen when you first try it?
Mm-hmm.
Everything's going to be real weird. All the movements. I guess it basically just comes down to moving your hips, either up or to the side.
Let's start.
But it's hard.
Let's start at the beginning, Phil.
Okay.
Because, everyone has this. I know I still distinctly remember the first time I walked in. And I was literally out in the parking lot, by the way, watching a YouTube video on how to tie your belt because I didn't want to ask anyone how to tie my belt. And I didn't have a rash guard on, had bare chest.
Yeah.
Super weird. Right?
Yeah. That's funny.
It's hilarious. Yes.
I don't think you told the detail on the belt tying.
Did I not?
I don't think I've ever heard that. No,
yeah.
That's funny.
So I'm out there watching a YouTube video. Who was it? It's just one. I can't remember who it was. But and I'm sitting there doing. I'm like, oh Jesus, this is really hard. And I walk in with my bare chest, and John greets me, and he's super nice and everything.
So, what, were you wearing a gi though?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I already
for
had
your first class. You had a gi already?
Yeah, of course I did. Phil, this is me.
You bought your own gi and belt?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I didn't know you could do that.
I bought it off Amazon, for God's sakes. I wanted to be prepared. Like, I don't know. I think that's just me.
I did think for a second you walked in like topless. Like just
No. I didn't walk in topless. No. I had the gi on, but I had no rash guard under it.
Yeah.
And I was pretty large fellow then, you know? And so I walked in, I introduced myself to John, and, you know, because we'd already talked on the phone, and he was explaining a little bit of stuff to me, and he was like, you know, and we, you know, whenever we go over here, we don't wear our shoes on the mats, and we usually wear rash guards. You can wear a rash guard if you want. And I was like, I have a T-shirt out in the car. Can I wear that? Because I'm not really comfortable with this. He's like, yeah, you can do that.
How did the belt tying go the second time?
Yeah, same procedure.
Yeah, same procedure.
Yes, tied it out in the parking lot. That was like the first week. It was like the first. I think it might have been the first. Honestly, if I'm being honest, it was probably at least 3 weeks that I did that. Like
in the car.
Yeah. Yeah, would tie my belt.
That seems really...
And then, like, when I was in there, you know, I'd make sure it was tight all the time because I didn't want to have to retie it.
Yeah.
You know?
That's funny.
Folks, by the way, if you're listening, you don't have to tie your belt on the parking lot because people will actually tell you how to tie your belt. It's not really an issue.
I feel like everybody has their own thing they'll stress out about, like being weird, not knowing anybody, you know, all that kind of stuff. Tying the belt.
That didn't really bother me.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing that bothers most people. I feel like they don't know anybody. They don't, you know, making a new friend kind of situation is the weird foreign part. That's totally normal for you, but God forbid you ask for help tying your belt in a weird knot, you know? That is too funny. It's too funny.
How about you? When you first walked in, what was...
I almost walked back out. I almost left. Because I was like, I don't know if I need to do this today, you know? So I was like, I'll just try again some other time. Started walking back to the car, and I was like, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. And I did go back in, but for me, it's always weird. Not knowing people, like everybody's dressed up like ninjas, and you're just like, you know, what's going on over there? Super weird. And yeah, like I had to go buy sandals because I didn't own any. John was like, yeah, just wear, you know, just come in with some shorts, you know, and sandals. And I was like, all right.
You rented geese for a while, didn't you?
Yeah, I was non-committal.
You weren't like me, all in before I even started.
Yeah. So I just paid the rental fee for, I don't know, maybe a month.
So you bought a gi, basically.
I paid for an extra gi. So, but yeah, that's funny. But yeah, I almost walked back out because I was like nervous about going in the first time. They always say that's the hardest part. It's definitely true.
Yeah,
hardest part. Once you go in a couple times, because I worked with Charlie the first day, which is normal. I mean, he usually grabs new people all the time at our place, and he was very helpful. I mean, I can only imagine how much of an idiot I was the first time because you just don't know any movements.
Nothing.
I can't remember the second time, but I started working with you right away. And I feel like because I didn't just leave, you know, like kind of keep going back, you'll eventually find, I think, one or two people that you kind of know, you have a similar schedule with, that'll kind of help you through the first, you know, couple months. Because I think that's the hardest part, is just getting used to going.
Yeah.
You know, making it part of your schedule and getting over the whole fear of a new thing.
Yeah. No, agreed. And, you know, I obviously picked you because I was much more experienced than you at 6 months in.
I can remember. I thought you knew. You had it figured out, I thought. And that's funny looking back.
That is funny. But yeah, I mean, it is the hardest step is going in. And don't get me wrong, I was super nervous going in the door. You know, I was way overweight. I was, you know, had apprehension about it. And quite honestly, you know, it took me probably 2 or 3 months to be able to complete the warm-ups.
Yeah.
You know? because of the physical condition that I was in. And so that's normal, for those of you who are, no matter what your motivation is for doing it, a lot of people, it's for health reasons. That's great. It was for me. That was exactly why I started.
For people to know, like, now you train 5 days a week and you train hours at a time. Like, you don't go in. It would be extremely unusual for you to go in for a 1 hour class and leave. That's just not something you do. But when you started our warm-ups, when he says completed warm-ups and fundamentals, he means, dropping into a stand-up self-defense base a couple times, break falling, practicing that a couple times, shrimping, bridging. I mean, that's not like a high-intensity workout.
10 minutes worth of, like, positional stuff, the main positions that we do, right?
Yeah. And to be in that condition where you can't complete that to where you are now, I think speaks volumes of and not even now, I mean, where you were 6 months after starting.
Oh, for sure.
Just doing that.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's certainly one of the benefits, and one of the benefits I love. And it's hard to look back on and be like, wow, that 2 years and 3 months ago, that's incredible. I'm very proud of that accomplishment, but also just appreciative of all those who made it easy for me to do that. Ryan and John for, really welcome, the whole team for welcoming me. That's, and if you don't experience that whenever you're in your first 30 days, probably look at another gym. If you don't experience, whenever you walk on the mat, because it's awkward, right? You get in, you got your belt tied, you don't know exactly what you're doing. You walk on the mat, you bow if you know to bow, or maybe you don't. Somebody says, hey, we bow whenever we walk on and off the mat. That's and then you do that, and if somebody's not coming up to you and saying, hey, introducing themselves, and even Phil, being as awkward as he is socially,
it's terrible.
He does that in his own awkward way to all the new people that come in, and that that's important to make them feel welcome in this environment that we train in.
100%, yeah. Because I mean, I don't know if I would have stuck around the same way if you don't start feeling comfortable, especially because I didn't start rolling right away. It was all the class stuff, and I've said before, I regret it now. I don't really care so much because so much time has passed, it's irrelevant. But if I was just going in for like a class format type thing and I didn't feel like I had anybody that I was friends with, looking forward to see or whatever, because that's another thing. I mean, even I heard AJ talking about it, or Jen talking about it in the last podcast, the Beauty and the Geese, saying like debating going in because you're so busy, and then you see somebody post on Facebook something like I'm going to this class, is anybody else going? And then other people start saying they're going, and that makes you want to go, and you start to become friends with these people, and you want to go for yourself, but also to see your friends and also to help them, because everybody knows it sucks to try to do jiu-jitsu by yourself. So, that is another giant benefit, obviously, of getting to know these people, getting to become friends with them, and then having them help you and you helping them.
You can't really do jiu-jitsu by yourself.
It's real hard. I'm good at it. Undefeated.
Kick your own ass every time. Yeah, but I mean, that's it, right? The camaraderie that's involved. And also, if you've got somebody new, and they're doing it, maybe if you're somebody, like I said, I'd only been doing it, I've been doing jiu-jitsu, how much longer than you?
You started in March? I started in October, 7 months.
Yeah, so 6 months difference. Even someone with 6 months more training, you know more than the person coming in, and form that bond. And then I remember early on messaging you like, hey, you coming in today? I mean, just having that camaraderie, and if you have that focus with someone that's new, it really means something to them.
Yeah, especially if you're like kind of socially awkward and terrible at making friends like myself,
Mm-hmm.
you reaching out to me means a whole lot more than the 10 seconds it takes you to type a message. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if you have new people and you can do that, you know, it's harder for me. I'll never do that. It's just not how I operate, and not even intentionally. It's like that thought doesn't cross my mind. You know, I should try to do better with it now that I say all that out loud. But, you know, if you are better at making friends and you are comfortable there, if you have more Jeff's personality, definitely, it's probably something you already do. But for
Sure.
us who don't do it, you know, just consider trying that. Facebook or whatever. It doesn't have to be super personal. Jeff walks up and gets people's phone numbers like the day he meets them at Jiu-Jitsu. I'm like, what are you doing? It's like...
I'm aggressively social. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Definitely are.
It kind of makes me feel bad when you say it like that.
It's like... Yeah, I laugh now, but I'm used to it. But like, yeah, the way you introduce yourself and everything, it's perfect. I mean, I think it's really good for people to have that, because I think it means a lot when people they're new, and it's weird, you know, kind of going back to that, because the whole situation and environment's different than any other environment that you're going to be in, because you're learning how to fight. So it's, and you're touching, you know, there's no touching anywhere else, especially strangers.
Right.
You know,
Right.
So everything's super weird until you just, and then in like 2 months, it's totally normal and you don't think about it anymore. But you kind of forget that it was super weird when you first started.
Yeah. No, it certainly was, and all good points. So tell me about, like, maybe tell me a little bit about Molly's experience. She's done, what, 2 classes now?
Yeah, she did 2 classes. Seemed to have a good time. I mean, is looking forward to going tonight, is making the schedule work for it, moving things around. So far, I've noticed the biggest thing that cracks me up is her refusal to wear her glasses during the instructional point. And she can't see anything. So I'm standing across the room, and I look over, and she's squinting super hard, trying to see what's going on. And that just cracks me up, but we'll figure it out.
And as you say that story, I feel like my own jiu-jitsu progression has been stifled because I don't wear my glasses. So I think that's what it is. That's why I don't get all the details at one time. Mm-hmm. I think I would probably get all the details at one time if I would have just worn my glasses during instruction.
Definitely.
So
It's
easy.
a tip for everybody. Make sure you can see in class.
That's a great tip. That's a great tip. So you know, on what to kind of expect for the first 30 days, let's just kind of break it down. And that is, you're going to be nervous walking in. You're going to meet a lot of new people, a lot of nice people. You're going to get to be better friends with them over that course of time. In that 30 days, you're going to go from maybe not being able to do the warm-ups and feeling awkward to having them feel a little bit more natural.
Yeah.
But having said that, man, today I really concentrate on my bridge to make sure.
Well, I think about the warm-ups more now.
Agree.
Like, when I was first doing them, it was just like kind of always just looking around at other people. Like, am I, doing the right one? Am I just overall right body movement, right? Like bridging when you're supposed to bridge versus like a shrimp and getting them confused. Now I'm thinking more about like where my feet are, where my head is, and everything else while I'm bridging,
Yeah. And I mean, I think you will, but I think it's not important in the first 30 days to think about it. Get the foundation of the movements down, because you'll be able to refine. You're going to do those warm-ups every single time that you go to class,
yeah,
right?
I mean, you're going to do them every time you roll. I mean,
And-
that's how you move.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that at the time. I was just trying to follow along. But yeah, I like that when Ryan kind of goes back to that, and says, this is the move we do in the warm-ups and whatnot, for everything from dropping in base to the shrimping and the bridging.
Leg circles.
Yeah. You had a revelation with that the other day.
I'm super embarrassed to even say it, but I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it was John, our professor, John Plowler. He was doing leg circles. He's like, and if you don't know what leg circles are, they're you're swimming in your legs, and some people call them egg beaters, things like that. But you're just circling your legs. Well, you're not just circling your legs. That's what I thought you were doing.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, it's just like your leg circles. You're not just circling your legs. You're moving your hips too. I'm like, huh? I looked around. I was like, what? And I did. I was like, oh wow, that's a lot harder doing it that way.
You find it harder?
Yeah,
I find it easier.
Do you think it's? Well, I think it's easier now.
Okay.
But like it was awkward whenever I first started doing it, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, you got a little hula hoop action on your hips. And
what's funny is going to the outside, I can do it without moving my hips. So I thought for the longest time that I was having problems doing it to the inside because the only way I can do it, I had to move my hips. I was like, I'm just not as good at the inside because I move my hips when I do it. Like, I never said it out loud. I would think that though. I'm like, I'm not as good at this way, and that's funny, but yeah. The only movement in jiu-jitsu, you don't move your hips, apparently.
Leg circles. That was only 2.5 years, Phil, that I've done them wrong. That's terrible, man.
Yeah.
It's terrible. I'm embarrassed. I'm not really. I don't really care. But yeah. So the first 30 days, you're gonna get better at all those fundamental movements, and you're gonna also every time that you go to do the move, you're going to forget to move. It's fine. And that's another thing to point out, and that's kind of etiquette, kind of for your benefit as well, is whenever you're partnered up with somebody, generally in your first 30 days, you're going to be partnered up with someone that's more experienced than you, because there's really probably not anybody less experienced than you. Yeah. Right? And generally, whenever you're doing that, you always allow the person who has more experience to do the move in fundamentals or in class before you do, and that's for a couple of reasons. The least of those reasons is out of respect for them doing it longer. That's okay, sure, that's fine. But the biggest reason is they probably are going to remember it before you because they've probably seen it before.
Yeah, I could remember. Like, I still do it when I still do it when I'm working with whoever's been around longer, that I don't bother to do it first. I let them do it. But forever I would be like, hey, I hope you got that. I have no idea. I just watched it 4 times. I don't know what just happened. So
I watched it 4 times, and now I'm starting to do a takedown instead of something in guard.
So, Phil, why are you on your back? I don't know. So what are we doing? So.
Yeah, so I mean, so there's a reason for those types of things, and that's the reason for having someone else do the move. Likewise, whenever you're in the warm-up lines, go near the back so you can see what everybody's doing. Like if you're doing it wrong, right? I mean, that's the smart way to do it. What else, Phil? What else in the first 30 days do you remember?
I really think the biggest thing is just trying to make it that habit, like the part of your schedule. Like, just don't allow, like, if you're going to commit, just whatever your schedule is, commit to that. I heard Ryan say it once, and it made a lot of sense. Like, if don't come in thinking you're going to do 5 days a week, especially if you have other stuff you have to do. If you can do, I think 3 days a week is best.
That's what I did starting out, 3 days a week.
That's definitely the best way to do it, because 2 days a week is going to seem easier, but there's going to be a gap at some point in that week that's just too long, and you're going to, not that you need to be in a hurry to learn stuff, but it's going to prolong the amount of time where you feel totally lost, I think, just a little bit longer. Not a bad, that's how I started for months, so,
Some would say years.
So it's not like, if you start out 2 days a week, you're not going to enjoy jiu-jitsu, because I did, and that's what I did. But I think 3 days a week is best. Whatever the case is, if you have other responsibilities and stuff and you can only do 2 days a week, commit to those 2 days a week and don't miss those classes. Like, make that a part of your schedule like you would work, you know. Otherwise, it's really hard if you start out, you know, missing, you know, class here and there, and that becomes okay. It's gonna be tougher to kind of get in that rhythm later. I think if you can commit to your schedule, like this is what I'm gonna do, like you would with your job or other obligations, I think that would go a long way towards kind of ensuring you get the benefits out of jiu-jitsu that you're looking for when you signed up.
Yeah, totally agree. And, you know, just if somebody's asking, well, Phil, can you give an example of that? I'll give an example of it. And that is that, you know, Sunday I sit down and I think about, I don't have to really think about my training schedule anymore.
Right.
I have to think about my travel schedule.
Yeah.
Right? So Sunday I sit down and say, all right, if I want to train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm going to be here, here, and here. And a lot of the times Mondays I'll be able to make to our own academy. But, you know, Sunday I have to set that up. And that's whenever I, you know, if you're going to train at a different academy, then, you know, it's just common courtesy I always utilize Messenger and Facebook and send it out saying, hey, I'm going to be traveling through town. And I've been to most of the places now multiple times where I say, hey, I'm coming in or whatever. And so for that week, you know, I'll know my travel schedule mostly and arrange my training schedule around that travel schedule. And that always helps me, like on that Sunday, just to sit down and say, all right, where am I going to be this week so I can get some training in?
Yeah. And also the same thing we do for Sunday. Like Sunday at 1:00 we go to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Like that's what we do, you know?
Yeah.
And
people still message me, hey, what time are we doing Sunday?
Yeah.
I'm like, we're going to start something new, 1:00.
So, but that just becomes a part of the routine. And it's, I think it's going to help if your goal is to get out of jiu-jitsu healthier, you know, you wouldn't skip going to the gym and working out if you were trying to do that. So the same idea with jiu-jitsu. If your goal is to like compete, I think your own personal drive is going to be there no matter what. But, you know, self-defense stuff, you're not going to learn it if you're going once a week. It's going to take a very long time, you know? So whatever your goal is, obviously you're going to work better towards that. But it's the same with any aspect of your life. If you're consistently doing it, you're going to make that progress to it. But if you're sporadic, it's going to be tougher. So I think the biggest thing you take away in your first 30 days is just trying to nail your schedule and build that routine. I play with mine all the time because training is like one in my life. It's right there with making sure I can make just enough money to survive, and you know, my family doesn't hate me, like, you know, but training is right there. So like we've been talking about a lot lately is I'm trying to train more aggressively, and that's requiring more effort during training with an extra day off, you know. But
and folks, for the folks at home, when Phil says more aggressively, he just means he's trying to play more top game, right? You're trying to guard pass.
Well, I'm a man of action, so after a mere 6 months of talking about it, I've decided to try to get on top. So
well, it only took you 6 months. That's good.
I don't like to talk about it. I just like to do it. So
you're a doer, not a talker. Obviously, Phil. Obviously. Yeah. 6 months later. Yeah. Top game whenever you're starting doing that, but just like in anything in jiu-jitsu, if you're starting to try to play bottom more, it's going to require more energy, because guess what? People are going to pass your guard a lot more if you hadn't played bottom before, and so it's going to require a lot more energy. Same thing with top game, you know. It's, until you get better at doing it, you're just going to require more energy.
It's exhausting. So exhausting, but we'll talk more about that later. But anyway, I schedule my entire life around jiu-jitsu, you know. That's a little extreme, I think, for most people.
No, it's not.
So, but
what are you talking about?
But I think definitely nail that schedule.
That's ridiculous. It's perfectly appropriate. Yes. No, I totally agree with you. So I think, you know, I think I wouldn't add anything to that. I think that probably is the most important thing to do when your first 30 days is to get a feel of A, what your body can handle, and B, schedule your trainings around what your body can handle and what your professional and your family life can handle.
because we talk all the time. Like, all we think about is training. All we think about is how to learn faster, learn more efficiently, train smarter, get the most out of our time that we do spend training, you know? But, like, if you're being realistic for starting out, it doesn't matter. Like, you're just not gonna get all the details. You did 2.5 years worth of leg circles. Like, you're not gonna get any of the, like, you're not gonna get it in 30 days. But you're gonna get way further ahead than where you were 30 days ago. All that matters is that you're there. You know what I mean?
My leg circles are on point right now,
That's true.
Phil.
Your hips are magical. You're becoming magical, as you like to call it.
I wish. Very good. So the last item on this first 30 days, and it depends on your academy, right? Because your academy, I've heard people say, you know, you've got to get a stripe before you do that, and that may be 4 to 6 months before you spar, right? If you have to get a stripe before you spar, you know, our academy is 10. Have you really drank that 72 ounce of coffee already?
I mean, there's still most of it in there.
There's not a drop left, ladies and gentlemen, in that coffee.
I'm going to regret that.
Yeah, you are. Of course you are. Where was I? Oh, so our academy is 10 classes, and you can start sparring.
Yeah.
I think that's a great number. And I don't, like I think that if you had wrestling experience or whatever, and you first off, if you want to spar and it's a policy, and maybe you have experience in other places or with wrestling or are comfortable with it, talk to your professor. Say, hey, I'd like to start sparring, and they're going to say either, okay, cool, you've got experience with that, here's what we do, and kind of explain it to you a little bit, or they're going to say, that's our policy, sorry, man, and you can either go from there and accept it or go somewhere else, right? I mean, that's kind of your options. I mean,
like, if you're, like, 10 classes seems pretty reasonable to me, because you're not going to know what you're doing your first couple classes unless you have some sort of background. And if you have some sort of background that you talk about beforehand, they're probably not going to have a problem with you doing it.
Right.
I think it's more of a safety measure. Like, if you're determined, like, I don't know, if you've never done anything before and you just want to go in and throw down today, and sign up for a jiu-jitsu class to fight somebody, like, it's probably not a good idea, And also, if you have no idea what you're doing, it's not a good idea.
Yeah, if I'm going to boxing class for the first time, I'm not going to be sparring for a while, you know what I mean?
So I think, if you can't commit to the 10 classes or whatever, like, that's too much or too long, it just seems ridiculous to me. But, I think if you get through 10 classes, you have a somewhat idea. You've seen a couple of the positions. You've been in a couple of them drilling and stuff like that, and then start moving around. See what happens.
Yeah. No, and listen, there's reason. There's always reasons. If I could sit here and say, "Oh, that's ridiculous that you have to wait till your first strike."
Well, then they probably do stripes differently, So maybe that first stripe comes when you seem to show you have about maybe the same knowledge as 10 classes, maybe.
But maybe not, Phil. But it's not my academy. Like, whoever does that probably has a reason for it. Like, and I've heard this before. The first strike. Whenever you do that, I think you greatly reduce the risk of injury. At your academy, right? If you wait till the first, because if they have that first stripe, they're likely going. They've seen sparring before, and they've seen maybe spaz sparring before, and maybe that's why they're doing it. I don't know. I'm not going to say anything's right or wrong. I think I did in our previous episode. I'm not going to say it because I don't have a reason for it. I just feel like what we do is kind of appropriate with regards to sparring.
Yeah.
What are your other tips on sparring, Phil? For the first time.
For the first time?
Yeah.
The same as everybody else. Like, just think about what you're doing. Like that. If you could start out ahead of time, like, with the idea in your head of the mind map that, like, Jeremy Arell talks about, because I didn't have one of those ever. If you could start trying to do that pretty early on, I feel like that would go a long way. Be very helpful. Trying to guide what you're doing and have a plan, a direction that you want to go.
Yeah. for the folks listening at home, no one has an idea of that the first time they
No,
spar.
of course not. But if you start out and you start thinking about what happened, and trying to, think about what happened and I did this, so I got swept or whatever. I was in the guard.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing I knew, I was on the bottom.
Yeah.
Like that kind of deal where your mind map is going to start out with, all right, so posture of not forward, not back, not to the side, whatever, and just kind of trying to build that. I guess not trying to have a detailed mind map with like names of techniques necessarily, but like an idea of, I always find it easier to say like with new people, like just get past the legs. Like you just want to get on top of the person. Because if I say like you want to pass the guard, because that's what I would do. They'd be like, you want to pass the guard. And I'm like, what's the guard? How do you get past it? What are the steps? Versus just the simple idea. And like, I wish I was able to think of it that way when I started, because it would have taken a lot of my overthinking while I'm trying to do stuff out to just get on top, get past the legs or whatever, without thinking of a 1, 2, 3 step or a name of a technique or what am I supposed to be doing. It's just do what feels right kind of thing.
Yeah, agreed. And it's funny because I kind of look back and I remember thinking, oh God, what am I supposed to do in every single position?
Oh
right?
yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And so now, whenever I go with new people, and a lot of times I'll get paired up with those new people that are first starting to spar, because whenever they're, I'll get them in guard, and folks, just so you know, for the first time, if somebody has what would you say, 6 months experience, and it's your first time doing it there, they're vastly better than you are.
Yeah.
For that first time sparring,
yeah,
right?
If you have 6 months experience and they're brand new, yeah.
And they're brand new, you're not going to be able to do anything other than properly position yourself. So whenever I'm sparring with someone that's new like that, I'll just guide them in that. Hey, when we're in guard or whenever my legs are wrapped around you, just try to posture up, right? And then if I break guard, try to get around my legs, that sort of thing. And I'll let them work and get around and then recover and all that stuff. And you see, it's funny because you always see the intensity ramp up whenever they get around. Mm-hmm. Then you get them back in the guard, go from there. Maybe you sweep them, get on top. Again, the intensity comes on again, because whenever you're on top of them, if you swept them to a mount position or something like that, they're going to freak out a little bit. You're going to freak out a little bit whenever you first start, because you don't know what to do.
Yeah, and the other thing, like a big general idea, it is extremely fun sparring, but when you're first starting out, safety is very important. And just for like your mental standing, the tap is always there. Like if you're kind of freaking out about something and you're first starting out, just tap. If you want to ask what happened or you don't even want to talk about it right now, whatever. But, it's there. Like you don't have, like if you need to just get out and take a second and kind of figure out what just happened, there's always the safety first. So that's probably a better idea than just having like an internal freak out and never coming back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I totally agree, and I want to expand on that with the tap, and that is that whenever you're new, and think about that. Think about tapping and how you're going to tap. Whenever you tap, you give 2 hard pats on your partner. Right. Not on the mat, not there. Don't do it to their face. You can do it to their head. You can tap their head if that's, you're in a position to do so. But just 2 taps on the arm, on the body, and make sure they're known. Don't be one of those folks who gives that phantom tap, that really like tap. You're like, did you tap or no? I mean, if you're not in a position, which sometimes you're not in a position where you can use your hand or anything, say tap.
Yeah.
That's verbal tap is perfectly acceptable. Also, if you can't use your hands and you're getting choked and can't say anything, I don't know any position like that, but I would like to know that position that were the case. You can tap with your foot on the mat. That's the only time I would tap with my foot on the mat.
Yeah, but I think at that point, the person's looking for the tap.
Yeah, for sure.
But, you know, if you're starting out, just, you know, you're going to lose. That's, you know, why we train jiu-jitsu. Like, it would not be fun.
You're not losing. You're winning.
Well, you understand. Like,
Yes.
if you're thinking of it like that. But, like, the reason we train jiu-jitsu is so you get better the more you do it. It would really suck to do this for a long time, and then somebody new could just walk in and just be really good at it. Kind of defeat the purpose.
Yeah.
So, you know, go into it knowing that and trying to learn. And just safety first. Like, you're not going to get better at jiu-jitsu if you have a broken arm.
Public
Or you can
service
pass out.
announcement.
So,
Safety first. Tap a lot. Tap early, tap often.
so from a technical standpoint, I would say focus on, like, where you end up, you know, what it feels like in all those positions, and just how to survive, you know, get your space required to breathe and do your best to stay calm. And then when the position gets to where it's not comfortable and you can't stay calm and you feel like you need to tap, then just tap. Start over. Try again.
Mm-hmm. And it's gonna be really, really tough. But try not to expend every bit of your energy in the first 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Whenever you start rolling, try to remain calm. Try to breathe. And again, whenever I'm with someone who's brand new to sparring, I remind them to breathe, because you can see that. You see in their head because they have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Right?
And having said that, I just said 10 minutes ago that now that I'm trying to get on top, I feel like I'm exhausted after half the rounds that I'm taking in sparring class.
Because you're a spaz on top, Phil.
I'm terrible at it. But, you know, I am aware of it and trying to fix it. So, you know.
That's good. I think that anything else that you can think of, first time sparring, first 30 days?
I'm sure we'll think of more, especially because it's something I'll be thinking a lot about in the next 30 days.
Yeah.
Come back to it.
Yeah.
Different things. And again, like, so that's what we have that Facebook group for. If you have questions in your first, like, or you think of a giant thing that we just overlooked, because there's a bunch of them, just mention it, because I'd like to revisit this, because I think this is, I would love for this podcast to be something that, you know, people are like, I'm thinking about starting jiu-jitsu. Where can I hear about it? Or, like, what is it like? You know, I would like people to look and maybe pick something up from this that makes them want to try it. Or at least after they try it, you know, that they're like, oh, it's totally normal to sit in my car and try to tie my belt with YouTube videos. You know, I thought that was super weird. I'm not the only one.
It's not normal, Phil. I don't think anyone else besides me did that, because maybe they did.
Maybe. I mean, there's been a lot of people are like you who are too stubborn to go ask for help for tying the belt. Because everybody who walked in knew it was a square knot and knew how to do it, obviously. So it'd be totally ridiculous for you to walk in and ask for help, you know? So I'm sure somebody else is YouTubing stuff out in the parking lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now he sits in the parking lot YouTubing guard passes, and then he goes into class. So
Totally.
it's just not that much different. But
Or that takedown that James Klingerman did in the Chicago Open.
yeah, that was a cool
Can't wait to do. We're doing that tonight.
Yeah,
We're drilling that tonight.
do it.
Yeah. Okay. Phil, how can the folks support the BJJ Campaign podcast?
Wearing a patch on your
Yeah.
gi when you're training.
Yeah.
Other than that, listening and sharing the podcast, joining the Facebook group, and participating. I have a bad habit of joining Facebook groups and just watching and reading and never commenting. So don't do that. Don't be like me. Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. Missing one? I'm always missing one. Just the website.
Website. I guess.
BJJCampaignPodcast.com.
Yeah.
Not sure if I'm missing anything else.
Nah. Who cares?
Good enough.
But also, you know, our premier sponsors, my BJJ Notes. Check them out. You know, that's something. Hey, that's something that we left out.
I brought up note taking to Molly, and she's like, nah, it's not something you take notes for. I'm like, all right, I'll let it go. We'll see.
Yeah, well, Molly, it is something you take notes for. And
we'll see.
So check out my BJJ Notes. Great place to store your jiu-jitsu notes and also kind of record your own campaign, right? And also Green Compass CBD products, third-party independently tested products, all natural. You get what you pay for with CBD, and it's the real thing. Phil and I have been utilizing the CBD for a long time, and with great benefits to sleeping, to recovery, all kinds of stuff. So, what else? Anything else, Phil?
I think that's it for this week. I'm excited to go train tonight.
I'm super excited to go train tonight. And for the audience, if you're not out there trying to do something better each and every day, get out there and do it. Phil and I choose Jiu-Jitsu. We hope you do too.
I'm about to feed him to the sharks right now. Get him hype right now. Yeah. You know the ground is up. Yeah. Everybody that trains, you know the game. Yeah. So let's get it. Slap it up, bump it and roll. Hey. Yeah, that's the way that it goes. Ain't no better way to better yourself in this game. You're feeling the growth. That's time on the mat. We put in the work. Believe it ain't easy, I know. But we train for the love of the game, the love of the art. Now slap it up, bump it, let's roll.